Hello and welcome to the Tiny Human Knits podcast. My name is Laura and I'm coming to you from Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, where I live with my boyfriend, our dog, our cat, and our rabbit. You can find me online as Tiny Human Knits on Instagram, Ravelry, Etsy, and YouTube, and I will have links to all of my social medias and everything I talk about in the description box below. I got distracted immediately as I started talking because Gus is on the couch right behind you and he heard the bus. And I thought it was something for the house. It is not. It was the bus. The bus stop is literally in front of our house. I have never taken the bus since we've moved here, since I have nothing that I need anywhere besides home, which is why I never leave home. Stop it. This is not a good way to start. I think it's been a month since my last episode, and I did not mean for that to happen. I have been meaning to record this, and then things keep happening. One point it was just a really bad breakout and I didn't want to film. It's a little bit of vanity, but that doesn't matter. I'm here now and I don't really have that much to show you for finished things. I have quite a few whips, but I haven't really had a ton of time to finish anything because I have been very busy for working on my next shop update, which will be on the 26th of November, and I will talk about that at the end of the episode for those who are interested. It's going to be probably one of my last updates for the year. It's going to have a lot of my holiday colorways, and yeah, I'll talk about that later. I hope you're all well. I hope you've been well. I hope you're enjoying whatever weather you're having. We finally got a little bit of snow here, which has made it feel a little bit more wintry, but the holiday feeling hasn't set in yet. Oh, I found a missing bowl. Sorry. The holiday feeling hasn't set in yet for me, and I'm not going to force it because then it'll just suck. Sorry. The first thing I'll talk about is what I'm wearing, which also happens to be one of the only finished objects I have to show you today, and that is my Gartrell crew by Tanis Lavely, or Tanis Fiber Arts, and I knitted out of my own hand-dyed yarn in I think 11 different colors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, 11 different colors. I knitted out of a tweed DK base. I was using these skeins to test out new colorways. Some of them are colorways that I do have as repeatables, but most of them were just to test a new brand of color dye stuff that I had gotten, and I knit this sweater out of it, and I absolutely adore this sweater. It is so comfortable to wear. The fit on it is pretty much my ideal fit, like the way it sits on the shoulders and the way it hangs off the body is honestly one of my favorite things ever, and it's a super easy knit. This would be something I would absolutely recommend to anyone starting out. It's literally just back and forth knitting, just knitting stockinette with decreases. You change colors, but you don't have to do anything fancy, and I absolutely adore it. Seaming is also super easy. It's probably the easiest seaming I've ever done in a pattern, and I have done quite a bit of seaming. I quite like doing seaming. This one, super easy, because the way that you're knitting, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's knit bottom up. In the pattern, you knit the front and back panels separately. I did them in the round because I wanted my back and front panels to be the same stripe order. And also that meant that I had a few fewer ends to weave in on the side because I was only changing color on one side instead of both. That's one thing. I will say there are a lot of ends that you have to weave in this pattern. I don't mind that, but there is quite a few. But you knit the back and front separate, and then you knit the sleeves. You're supposed to knit the flat as well. I knit them in the round up to the shoulder shaping, like with the decreases, and that's just a personal preference. It doesn't make any difference to the pattern at all. It's very easy to do that, but because you're doing your decreases on the sleeve cap and the front and back shaping the same, seaming it up is foolproof. It's so easy. It's literally just pick one leg from one side and one from the other, which is what I did, up and do the mattress stitch up. Super easy. And then you pick up stitches after it's all sewn together for the collar. That's the only other change that I made. Two changes, knit it in the round instead of flat, and then for the collar, I actually did pick up the recommended amount of stitches for the collar, and it's supposed to be a double length and then folded in and sewn down, which I did do, but I found for my own personal preference, I didn't really like the look of that. I like my collar to sit flat against my collarbones and stuff, and it just sat up a little bit, which is exactly what it looked like in the pattern photos, which, you know, I'm sure a lot of people really love that look, but I didn't particularly like it. So I actually undid the sewing down that I did and then ripped it back to the halfway point and then bound off, and there was just too many stitches and it still kind of stuck up a little bit. So I unraveled that again, and then when I picked up the stitches for the collar again, I picked up the same amount of stitches that it says in the pattern, but then in my first row of 1 or 2x2 rib, I decreased every 4th stitch, I think, and then it sits exactly the way I want to. So I'm very, very happy with that. I will absolutely be making this again. I did bracelet length sleeves, which is what I like to do for all of my sweaters because I am constantly doing things with water, and even when I'm knitting, I push up my sleeves quite often, so I think that's just easier for me. I also just love tweed. I love tweed a lot. I really, really like this sweater. I have all these ideas of different versions I want to make. I have some 50 grams skein, I think, yeah, last year, time isn't real, last year I had dyed 50 gram skeins of the colors from my Harvest self-striping colorway, and I was going to make something out of that, and I never actually got around to it. I tried to put it in 2 different things, but it wasn't right. But honestly, I think I might use those to make another one of these because I think that would be fantastic. I'm not 100% sure if I have enough to do a full-length sleeve one. I might either have to add another color into it or shorter sleeves. I think black would actually look really good on that. Anyway, yes, the pattern is written for like from children up to adults, which I'm really happy about because I think I might make this quite a few times for my nieces and nephews and the little ones that are in my life, because I have a lot of scraps from different projects, and I think this would be a great way to use up scraps. I think it'll be really nice. Honestly, think if you had a 20 gram advent calendar and if you held it double, you could probably do something like this. I really, really like it. I'm gonna make it a lot. 10 out of 10 can recommend. Written fantastically and it fits fantastically. I'm actually surprised with how much I like it. Anyway, I also finished a pair of socks, but it's just socks. I've knit so many. But I will move on to my works in progress, for which I have quite a few. Some of them are older, some of them are new. So I'll start off with the one, actually I think there's only one, oh no, there's two that I started before my last episode. And the first one is my Dark Cloud by Joji Locatelli, which I am knitting out of City Tweed Aran in the Snowbank colorway. And if you've been a longish term follower, you'll know that I knit this exact same thing last year. I actually finished it, according to my Instagram, I finished it last year, a year from like tomorrow, I think, is when I finished it. And then you would have heard that I got something on it and I put it in the washing machine on a cold, gentle cycle, and the, is it alpaca? Yeah, the alpaca in it felted real bad, like really bad. It finished its life as a cat bed. It's still a cat bed. It's loving it. But yeah, and I had some yarn left over. So I started it again. And this has been just one of my easy projects to pick up when it's dark or like, yeah, too dark to knit anything else. Or I just really can't concentrate on anything because most of it is just garter stitch. And I finished the back panel and am now working on the front. This is a seamless pattern. It's really easy to make and I find it very, very comfortable to wear. And also this yarn, I don't know if they're still doing it, but Knit Picks is having a big sale right now. It's their big end of year sale, but this yarn is probably on sale. But it is so soft and drapey and comfortable and fantastic. But yeah, it's a seamless garment. So you do the back panel. I think this is quite common nowadays. You do the back panel with a little bit of shaping, and then you pick up the stitches on the shoulder seams and then knit down. And then yeah, when you get to like the neck opening, you cast on stitches, join them in, whatever. And then with this one, once you get the length on both the front and the back, you actually pick up all around, starting at a certain point, and do a ribbing, and then you pick up stitches for the sleeves. It's a really nice pattern. I really, really like it. I have made it a couple times already, and I'm excited to have it back in my wardrobe because I didn't have it for very long, and I really enjoyed wearing it. But note to self, this time when I finish it, don't dye yarn when I'm wearing it. I play a little bit fast and loose with my knitwear a lot of the time. I wear a lot of nice hand knit sweaters when I'm dyeing yarn. The other day, actually, I was wearing my, you know, pale mushroom color field day cardigan, and I was putting hot water into a mason jar with dye in it, and it exploded. Now, my only saving grace is that it was the ecru colorway, which is like a very pale color with a few speckly bits, but like if it had been any other color, my cardigan would have been ruined. Because I did get a bit on there. So I either need to wear an apron or not wear my hand knit sweaters when I'm doing it, but I cannot help it. Anyway, there's another project that I cast on last year that I picked up again, and it is very, very silly. It's very silly indeed. I am making a pillowcase out of this Faux Fur. It is a super bulky weight. It is also from Knit Picks. It's 100% polyester. So last year I had one of these balls. I can't remember what I had gotten it for, but I decided I wanted to make a pillowcase out of it, and so I started it. I cast on with Judy's Magic Cast On in an amount that I hoped would be wide enough. I'm pretty sure it is. I've tested it against a pillow, and you want a pillowcase to be slightly smaller than the pillow so it stretches and it looks really nice. And so I cast on last year on 6mm needles, and you can't make mistakes in this. I don't know if you could tell, but you can't see any stitches at all. Anyway, one ball of yarn only got me halfway up the pillowcase, the size that I want it to be. And I had another brand, I think it's Loops and Threads, in their faux fur. It was a different color, but I thought it would be like a nice color block kind of design thing. So I actually added that to this when I ran out of yarn, and it looked horrible. The texture was totally different. It looked kind of like it was already falling apart. So I tinked that back, and I decided I was going to just buy another ball of the yarn and finish this pillowcase. So I did. When I went online though, it was during their sale, again, still might be going on, and they were only $3 a ball. $3 American, but still, that's like super inexpensive. And I've had this sitting on the couch beside where I sit for the last few weeks now, and every time my cat Shrimp gets on the couch, she gets on this and starts making biscuits, and she sits on it, and she loves it so much that I decided I would get enough to finish this and then also knit her a little blanket in it. So I ordered nine balls of this. So I'm going to make her a little blanket to go on her chair so that she can cuddle up with it, because nonsense. She really likes it. It's so soft. It is so, so soft, and she really likes it, and I think it's gonna be cute, and it holds heat really, really well because it's polyester. So it'll be really nice, like if it's really cold, I might even use it. It won't be very big, but it'll be big enough to keep your lap warm. So yeah, those are my only two old works in progress. Everything else that I have now has been cast on since I last spoke to you. I'm gonna have like polyester threads everywhere too. The first thing is I am knitting another Oslo hat in the same color that I finished my last one in. I had dyed enough yarn to make 2 of them on purpose, and I needed a grab and go project that was just knitting, so I cast this one on. I'm only like 2.5 inches into the original, or the first brim thing. But yeah, you've heard me talk about this before. I'm not gonna wax philosophical about it, but it's a great pattern. I think this might be my last one for a while. I think I want to try doing the Musselburgh hat instead, which is also a great pattern for just in the round knitting. But I think I've shown this hat pattern enough love. It's the Oslo Hat by PetiteKnit. And yeah, not much to say about that. I am gifting the original one that I made in this color, so this one will probably be for me. We'll see. I keep making them and then giving them away, so I have no idea if I'm even going to keep it. Who knows? So my next new cast on is the one that I've been working on the most. It is a fully lace work sweater, and it is glorious. I am knitting it out of, I believe, crackers. I don't even have the label here. It's an Estelle brand yarn. It's a DK weight. I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it's 50% acrylic, 30% wool, and 20% nylon? Something like that. It's a very affordable, easy care yarn. My sister Dana bought this yarn for herself to knit a foxberry pullover, because when I finished mine, I think in February, she saw it and she really, really liked it. So she was going to make one for herself. I told her at the time that if she found that it was either too complicated or she didn't have time or any reason, she could send me the yarn and I'd knit it for her. And I reminded her of it again this summer, and then she'd realized that she was never going to have the time for it. She's got a 1.5-year-old. She's busy. So she sent me the yarn, and when I got it, I decided I didn't want to make another foxberry sweater, because I didn't want to. Anyway, so I saw Sari Nordlund posted like one of her older photos of her poetry sweater, which is a fully lace pullover, a little bit oversized. It's beautiful. And I sent the picture to my sister and asked if I could make that one instead. And luckily she said yes. So I cast this on. It's covered in dog hair, so you're gonna have to excuse. I cast this on, I think, the 1st of November. And I was working on it quite consistently, but for the past couple weeks I haven't had any time at all for personal, like, not work projects, but so it's been put on hold for a little while. But this is what I've got so far. It's really, really nice. It looks a lot more complicated than it actually is because the lace repeats are quite short, and I put stitch markers after each lace repeat because I don't want to tempt fate, and it's a lot easier. And I've been knitting it a lot of times when light isn't ideal. As you know, it gets dark at 4:30 now. So I've just been keeping my stitch markers on there because it's saving me a lot of time and effort. And I went up a needle size. I think her recommended needle size is 3.5 millimeter, and I find with her patterns I always have to go up a needle size. So I'm using, I think, 3.75 because the yarn is quite slippery. Anyway, I'm knitting the 4th size, I think, the 43.5 inch bust. My sister is a little bit bustier than I am, not hard to be, but Yeah, I cannot wait to finish this. I think I've figured out I'm less than a full repeat of the pattern away from doing the ribbing, and then the sleeves shouldn't take long at all. I'm trying to take a little bit of time next month off of work, and I want to just sit down and finish this, and it's going to be really nice. But what I'm most excited for is blocking it, because blocking makes lace come to life, and I'm very excited to see what this looks like when it gets a good proper soak, because it is just going to open up and be so beautiful. Also, I love the color she chose. It is such a beautiful color to knit with. And the only change I made is actually in the collar. She has, in the original pattern, you knit the 1x1 rib. Actually, it's twisted rib. That's two changes. I don't like twisted rib anymore. I find it looks a bit hard. Personal opinion. And so I did just regular 1x1 rib. I did it, as I always do, in reverse. So I flipped over with the wrong side out. And instead of doing the sewing down after the fact, I just knit it down. So when I got to the end, I just picked up one of the stitches of my live stitches and then one of the cast on stitches and knit them together. And I really like the look of it. I think it finishes it off really nicely. And then I don't have to worry about doing that after, which would be nice. I'm kind of excited to get to the sleeves, just to have I think there's only 4 repeats of the pattern. The stitches, by the end of the yoke, there were quite a few. I think there were 17 repeats of 20 stitches, so it was just like really tedious. Really tedious. Fun, but tedious. Like by the time you got to the end of one row, it got really boring. But it's been really nice having a pattern that does change every row pretty much. It's very engaging for me. But yeah, that's my main project. If I didn't say, this is a poetry sweater by Sari Nordlund. I would like to have this done before my next podcast because I want to send it to her for, before the holidays, and she can wear that if she wants to. The next 2 projects that I have are socks, and they're actually sample socks for my update, so that I'll kind of talk about my update at the same time as showing you these. My hands are very dry. So, in my next shop update, which is going to be the 26th of November at 1 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time, I will have 6 different self-striping colorways in the shop. And I will also have a set of 3 50-gram skeins. I'll show those to you now, actually. I've caked these up because I'm going to be knitting the Holly Jolly socks by This Handmade Life, Olivia, and I've only just started it, but these are the colors that I've put together for that. That's my cast on. So it's going to be Evergreen, Hot Laval, and then Marshmallow, and I'm going to have a few, I don't have too many, but there's going to be a few sets where it's 50 grams of each color, because it's like my ideal holiday mix of colors. And if you haven't seen Olivia's pattern, the Holly Jolly socks, they're stunning. They are a colorwork sock. I have never done a colorwork sock, I don't believe, but this one looks like it's going to be really easy because the repeats are they're very easy to read, and also the stitches are very, like, there's no long floats in it. There's not going to be any long floats at all. I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up giving this pair of socks to my cousin Jennifer because she actually wears the socks I did for her. As you might be able to tell, I knit a lot of socks, but I don't wear them. I don't like wearing socks. I only put socks on if I have to put boots on. Personal. I like being barefoot. It's fine. But I cast on 64 stitches for this, and it seems huge, which is hilarious, because like 64 I feel like is the most basic amount of stitches for socks, but I use 56 because I have tiny feet. But these they'll fit her really well. I've cast on with a 2.25, which is my standard, but I'll switch to a 2.5 once I get to the color work, just because I really want them to fit. But yeah, so this is going to be my, papers. I'm doing the same as the pattern. This is going to be my contrast color for like the heels, toes, and cuffs, I think, and there's a little bit in the actual detail of the pattern. And then this will be my background and then my accent color. I'm really excited. I really want to do these because it looks like it's going to be so much fun. And yeah, I want to see what it's like knitting a colorwork sock because it's only wee. It's not like knitting the twig sweater where you're knitting colorwork for 4 weeks. Dandy. So the self-striping colorways that I'm going to be having in this shop, I don't have samples for all of them, but I do have for some. First off is going to be Hoarfrost, which is a color that I dyed originally 4 years ago, I believe. And I really like it. It's very delicate. I knit a pair of socks in these. I still have them, but they've been worn and washed so many times because I knit them 4 years ago that I do not want to show you those. And then we have, this is kind of embarrassing, but this is called Holly Jolly. And I have one sock in this one. Here's that one. And then I'm gonna have more baker's twine as well. And I actually have set aside a set of this for myself because I posted a picture of it on Instagram, and Danny of Little Bobbins said that this would be perfect for her new pattern that's going to be coming out soon. So I haven't even seen it, but I put it aside because if she says so, it will be. I'm very excited for that. And then we have, this is a new colorway. This is Carols in the Snow, which is a color I designed earlier this year. I really, really like this one. Yeah. There's going to be quite a few sets of this, and I've also got, I think, about 10 sock sets that are going to be discounted because for some reason the pink in the stripe turned out really pale. It's still pink, but it's not as much of a contrast as I would like it to be. So there's going to be quite a few of like discounted sets for that. And then second last, there's going to be Jolly Holiday. This is a colorway from last year. I really hope, if my supplies comes in like it's supposed to tomorrow, I'm going to be having the Jolly Holiday bags as well, which are really fun. And my last one is actually going to be a sock set and bag kit together. I'm just knitting the sample at the moment. I posted about this on my Instagram page, and I had said that I hadn't named it yet because my brain had turned into mashed potatoes, so I couldn't think of anything. And there were a lot of great suggestions for names, and some of them would have been perfect, but also there was a comment that said I should just call it mashed potatoes and gravy because the contrast color is this chocolatey brown. So this is going to be my mashed potatoes and gravy set. And it's going to consist of this project bag, it's a drawstring sock sack, and then this colorway, which I dyed to match it. And I'm hoping to have quite a few. The sets will be 50 grams of the self-striping and then 20 grams of the contrast color. And if you need more of the self-striping, I will have a separate listing with just the color and not the bag. But I'm really enjoying this. Yeah, it turned out exactly the way I wanted it to, and I really think that calling it mashed potatoes and gravy is funny, and it's non-denominational, so it doesn't have any sort of like, because I'm trying to lean further away from Christmas because I don't really feel, for myself personally, I don't really celebrate Christmas because I feel like that's more of the, you know, traditional religious aspect of it. For me, I haven't done that in a while. I'm kind of trying to lean away from Christmas gifts as well because I am a gift giver. I've always been a gift giver. I give gifts all year long. Like when I make something for someone, I don't put it, as you may know, as you have seen, I can't put it away and save it for Christmas because I get this overwhelming need to give it right away. So for me, I'm gonna just try to do like gifts throughout the year and not stress myself out into making a bunch of things for people right at a certain time of year. I hope that made sense. It's half a thought, And the last couple things that are going into the shop this weekend are going to be, I've dyed up more black cherry on a 100% superwash merino, and this is mohair. And then I've got a new colorway that is going to the shop, and that is called Conkers. And that's this one right here. That's what I used to make my hat. And that's pretty much it. There's gonna be a few other things. I'm actually thinking today as well. I've got a bunch of like either test dyes or just skeins that I never actually put into the shop for sale because the lighting wasn't right for the photo or something nonsense like that. But I'm gonna have a bunch of like really discounted sets of yarn probably going to the shop. Well, if I do it today, as there's no point. Check out the shop. There might be something inexpensive there for you. I have no idea. I have no idea. We'll see what I actually, oh, pardon me, what I actually get finished today. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been working on. I'm really excited to finish some of my bigger projects. I'm hoping to get those 2 sweater projects and maybe the pillowcase finished. The socks will be done sooner rather than later because they need to be done like right away. But there's a couple things that I want to knit in December. I want to make myself the is it the Ingrid? The Ingrid sweater by PetiteKnit? I think that's what it's called. I've got yarn set aside for that, but there's also a sweater that I want to knit for my boyfriend. He has a lot of really nice sweaters. He's got 7 sweaters, but I want to make him some more basics, just plain, easy to wear. He can wear them to work kind of things. So I actually ordered a older magazine. This is the Rowan magazine number 66, because there's this pattern that I had seen a while ago, and I just really, really liked the shape of it. It's actually the pattern on the front, that one right there, and I just really like the look of it. It looks like it fits really well. It is a seamed garment, which again doesn't bother me at all. I have knit quite a few. I think Jason actually has 3 seamed garments. 3? 4? I don't know. 4. He has 4. And yeah, it gives such a great structure. I find seamed things fit so nicely. Unfortunately, in this pattern, it isn't particularly size inclusive. It goes from a 32 to a 34 inch bust to a 52 to 54. Which I find for like even for men's sizes, that's quite small. Men can be incredibly barrel chested, I find. A lot of them. Jason fits right in the middle of that, really. Yeah, I think right in the middle. He's a small man, but he is very thick around the chest. Anyway, it's called The Huxley. It is by Lisa Richardson, and it's meant to be knit with a mohair and I think a fingering-ish weight together. And I'm going to actually be using, oop, just drop a bunch of yarn on the ground. I'm going to be using the Pearl Soho Good Wool, which is this one. And this is an undyed color because it's just the darker fleece. It's called Hickory Nut, and it actually does lean quite closely. It's a sport weight, but it leans quite closely to fingering, and it's super delightful. I actually ordered this yarn because of Hannah from Hannah G Knits. She kept talking about knitting her son sweaters in this yarn, and so I went on to Pearl Soho and bought some because it is delightful. It's absolutely delightful. And then with that, I will be holding a strand of Drops Kids Silk in the color 15. Very, very nice. So those, I'm going to hold those together, and I think it's going to be a delightfully lovely sweater. It's kind of nice too, because I can knit one in my size. I've got plenty of yarn that I could hold 2 together. If it fits them nicely and it's easy, it comes together easily, then I'm definitely going to knit myself one. But yeah, that's my next. And actually the Ingrid sweater that I want to make for myself is also going to be in brown, so there might be just a bunch of brown sweaters cast on at the same time. That'll be fun. Another thing I picked up from the, we went to Chapters the other day just to sort of putz around a little bit, but I found this on the shelf, and I am very excited because I have seen this online, and I have seen little snippets out of it, and it looks fantastic. It's just like it says, bag of tricks. So I bought it, and I've been flipping through it and just like looking at the instructions, or the illustrations, sorry, and just being like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. That's a great idea, and it's really I'm very excited. I need to look through it even more. Anyway, I'm sort of dragging it on right now because I've got work to do and I'm kind of putting it off a little bit. If you have any questions about the update, please let me know in the comments. And yeah, let me know what sort of holiday things you're knitting right now. I want to make those stars that Laura from Penrose Knits is knitting. I think that'll look good above my little display on the sideboard over there. Anyway, I have to get back to work because I have a lot to do. Check out the shop if you're interested in some inexpensive de-stashy type things, if they're still in there. Sorry if they're not. But yeah, I will see you all next time, and I hope you all have a wonderful time until then. Goodbye!